If this was one person, which I can't imagine that it was, just because of the scale and the scope and the time, the length of time that they were able to fend off the police. If this was even two people, then we have to have a conversation about the ease with which people can get access to guns that can inflict this kind of damage, even against our good guys with guns. Like, we had an entire department of good guys with guns confronting maybe one or two bad guys with guns, and the end result was pure carnage. And I only mention that because that's the real crux of the matter, right? While people are trying to make this be about Black Lives Matter and, oh, this is the fault of people, this is the fault of black people complaining about getting killed by white officers or officers in general, black or white or Hispanic or whatever, right? They're trying to make this scenario in Dallas because black people are complaining about getting killed by police. But they would never take a second to consider that this is about a man, a deranged man who was able to get his hands on a gun and inflict this much damage. Because when we have as much freedom, God bless America, right? We got freedoms, right? You know, you bless your Second Amendment, right? When we have this much access and the ability to get weapons that cause this kind and inflict this kind of damage, even on not just children anymore, right? You know, not just helpless and innocent children, not just a club of partygoers and people just enjoying their life, but officers armed with their weapons drawn, trying to defend themselves and citizens against a bad guy with a gun and body armor. I mean, at what point will we have that conversation? We won't. We never will. We never will, because they need to make this be about a conviction of a condemnation of all things black and Black Lives Matter. And if you dare, and then they're also using this to be about anyone who speaks out about injustice. And speaking out about injustice is equivalent to using hate speech against the police. I want to say that again. They are trying to make draw an equivalency between people who speak out against justice and make that equal to hate speech against police officers. In other words, if you say anything about the police, then you are using hate speech against the police. This is the logic that was spewed across the radio and television waves all night last night, all morning this morning. Ben Johnson or Ben Fields, whatever his name is, on CNN, the commentators on CNN quite literally are saying that because of the rhetoric. What rhetoric? Tell me, what precise rhetoric do you think caused this? The fact that we're saying don't shoot? The fact that we're saying stop killing us, the fact that we're saying don't execute us, the fact that we're saying this man was reaching for his registration and it was killed. He declared, Philando Castile, he declared to the police officers that he had a weapon and he had it registered, licensed to carry, and he was still killed. The fact that we're saying that that is wrong is equivalent to hate speech. That is totalitarianism and authoritarianism 101. And somebody needs to call them on that. Stop using these dead police officers as props against black people and props against the citizens, because ultimately, even though it starts in the black community, they are trying to silence any dissent against their dictatorial control over national narratives and over policing. They ultimately want our silence. So they're going to ask these questions. This is what the weekend is going to be about. Do you condemn this type of violence? Who doesn't? Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% unequivocally. This guy, I don't there is a huge question on the method in which the Dallas PD, used explosives on a robot, the legality of it. I've never heard of that. So the jury is clearly out on the method in which they eliminated the threat. But did he need to be eliminated? Absolutely. Do we condemn it? Absolutely. No shit, Sherlock. Anybody who doesn't is a buffoon. That's the first thing they're going to ask you. Are you going to condemn? The second question, are you going to condemn Black Lives Matter? Are you going to condemn Blue Lives Matter? Are you going to condemn All Lives Matter? Are you going to condemn all of these narratives that are set up intentionally to be some type of retribution against Black Lives Matter? Are you going to condemn these radio hosts and these television hosts who are using express language of war against the president of the United States and language of war against black people? Are you going to condemn them? Are you making people who are saying, don't kill us, we just want to live, we want to live in peace, don't shoot, are you equating that to being somehow responsible for or the cause for this man going out and killing? Because if that's what you're doing, then every idle word of every white commentator, radio host, from Bill O'Reilly to Rush Limbaugh to little people like Tommy Lauren, they are responsible for every incident of racial killing. They are responsible for Dylan Roof. They are responsible for Alton Sterling, and they are responsible. So if we're going to draw false equivalencies, let's go the whole distance and draw some damn false equivalencies. So no, I do not condemn Black Lives Matter. I am Black Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter will continue. The protests must continue. They will continue. And if you're really concerned about the safety of American citizens, then you better damn well be ready to have a conversation about the kind of guns madmen can get access to. And you can no longer use the narrative of good guys with a gun are the only people who can stop bad guys with a gun. Because last night, an entire department of good guys with guns took almost 4 or 5 hours to take out one bad guy with a gun because of the type of gun he could get access to. So if you're ready to talk about that, then we can have a conversation. Otherwise, you're simply using these slain officers as props against black people, against citizens, against people who would dare speak out against the overreach of police officers.